All right, gather around, everyone. Let me tell you a spooky story about a friend of mine. Let's call her Sarah. One night, she and her friends were camping out in the woods, just like us. They had heard tales of an old abandoned cabin nearby, once owned by a reclusive programmer who mysteriously vanished. Naturally, Sarah's curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to explore it. As she walked toward the cabin, the trees towered above, their branches swaying like eerie figures in the moonlight. When she reached the door, it creaked open as it invited her inside. The moment she stepped in, the air felt thick and stale, and a musty smell hit her. As she felt around the room, in the corner, she found what seemed to be an old computer. She could tell it was old, as her little amount of vision could make out its screen flickering dimly. You know how tempting it is to check out something like that, right? So she brushed off the dust and settled down in front of it, excitement mixed with a touch of dread. Sarah was shaken to discover the computer had one of the first editions of JAWS screen reader installed. Thank goodness. But as she started typing, things took a turn. The words on the screen jumbled together. To try and make sense of information, Sarah had to repeatedly read through the dense content, but the topics kept switching, and the information was too much. There was no way to skim or chunk the content with her screen reader. With the small amount of vision she had, she could zoom in to see there were bolded statements before paragraphs. Something must have happened to the critical HTML tags, which once gave them meaning. A ghost, perhaps. An HTML sucking demon. It was all too much. It felt like a puzzle with pieces missing, where information was hidden in a web of confusion. Frustration began to creep in, and when she reached for the mouse to see if magnification or zoom was available, it skittered away from her grasp, as if it had a mind of its own. Her heart raced. She was tech-savvy, but this felt like a twisted maze where the relationships between the elements were lost, leaving her disoriented and wrong-footed. Then, without a warning, shadows danced around her. Sarah could have sworn she heard whispers, the voices of those who had come before her, trapped in the confusing digital realm, trying to communicate but unable to form coherent thoughts. It was chilling, and she felt goosebumps crawling up her arms. Panicking, she bolted to the door, but it felt like the room was shifting around her. The walls seemed to close in, and those faded posters on the walls morphed into faces, all twisted in confusion. She grabbed the doorknob, but it felt icy and stuck, as if the very cabin was holding her captive, severing her connection to the outside world. In the distance, she could still hear the faint laughter of her friends by the campfire, grounding her in the chaos. It pushed her to fight against this overwhelming sensation of dread. With a deep breath, she focused and twisted the doorknob again. Suddenly, the computer screen flickered one last time, displaying a haunted message. Help is here if you can see it. With one final effort, the door swung open, and she stumbled outside into the cool night air. The forest welcomed her back, stars twinkling above like distant guardians. Though she could still hear those ghostly whispers, they faded into the shadows, becoming just another part of the night. When Sarah finally made it back to her friends, the warmth of the fire wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. She realized she had narrowly escaped the trap, but sought to confound and confuse. But deep down, she felt a lingering chill, as if the spirits of those lost users still roamed the woods, forever searching for a way out. So remember this, my friends. Sometimes the scariest places aren't out in the woods, but in the screens we think we know. Keep your eyes open and your wits about you.